bring your burdens to the living God. He'll burn away. So bring your burdens to the living God. He'll burn away. So bring your burdens to the living God. He'll burn away.
Good evening. Hopefully kicked over fine. It looks like it did. Hope everybody is doing well. Man, I love that song, and there can't be any better way to separate the wheat and the tares to start out the show. So that works for me. Anywho, wow, I do have quite a few articles to go over today. 7 is what I got up there. Of course, you've seen the title of the show. Mr. Clinton is in the news today. Wow. I don't know what to say. Like I've said for a long time now, we know who it is that's doing this stuff. Why isn't anyone doing anything? I mean, they've got a list of names. Come on. I do not understand it. Now, while I'm not a super fan of Trump, what's happening to him is absolute nonsense. And what blows my mind is, like, for instance, Hunter Biden, his ass should have been strung up by now with the stuff he's done. Nope. I don't know. I don't even want to think about Kamala Harris. I shudder to think that the old man will kick it and she'll be taking over the reins. I hope we don't wind up in a situation like that. But more back to the point, even if, let's just say, even if Trump got in office, even if Trump got in office and had Tucker Carlson for a vice president, and I will say this, I would stand behind that. That is the one combination that I would stand behind. Now understand, I think the change will be moderate. You know, I don't think you'll see anything sweeping. I don't think you'll see Mr. Clinton or any of the others that decided to take a few trips on the Lolita Express. I don't expect to see anything happen to any of them. So that's just the way it is. You know, Epstein and his hoe, they were nothing. And the powers that be and all those involved in all those trips on the old Lolita Express, I don't think they're going to go down for any of it. I really don't. I think you're going to see the stop at Ghislaine Maxwell and Mr. Didn't Kill Himself, and that's it. That's it. But it is in the news, so there's that. It gives us something to talk about. I see a number one up there. Ooh, yikes. South Korean opposition leader stabbed in the neck. That escalated quickly, wouldn't you say? Let me get that up there. Oh, well, there's not a whole lot. South Korean opposition leader stabbed in the neck. Yep, that's pretty much it. Former presidential candidate Lee Jae-myung was attacked, and I'm sure I said that way wrong, was attacked during a visit to Busan. I probably said that wrong too. So I can say South Korea, somewhat. But, yeah, man, that's got to hurt. Leo, you think that's going to leave a mark? Anyway, let's get to this guy. Mr. I didn't have sexual relations with Ghislaine Maxwell and 5 other hoes. Mr. Fellatio. Now, come on. How many men do you know, if the opportunity arose and they're president of the United States of America? I'm just saying, you know? I'm just saying. Anyway, though, he should have stayed away from Epstein. Says here, former U.S. President Bill Clinton will be identified as, oh, this is great, John Doe 36, right? Because can't say Bill Clinton now, can you? In a trove of court documents concerning deceased pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, ABC News has reported. Clinton's relationship with the child molester came under intense scrutiny under Epstein's arrest in 2019. Hundreds of pages of redacted documents are to be declassified and released on Tuesday, following an order from the Manhattan judge Loretta Preska in December. The documents stem from a 2015 civil lawsuit brought against Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, by Virginia Giuffre, who has claimed that she had been sexually abused and trafficked by the pair. According to ABC, Clinton is mentioned more than 50 times in the files. Most of the mentions are said to concern Giuffre's unsuccessful attempts to compel Clinton to testify against Epstein and Maxwell, with ABC stating that the files do not implicate Clinton in any criminal activity. More than 170 other individuals will be named in the documents, having previously been referred to as John Doe and Jane Doe. Some are expected to be employees of late sex offenders, such as drivers and groundskeepers at his private island of Little St. James, as well as high-profile associates like tech billionaire Bill Gates and Britain's Prince Andrew. Prominent socialite and financier Epstein was jailed in 2008 for soliciting a child for prostitution. He was arrested again in 2019 and accused of sexually abusing dozens of underage girls, including Giuffre, but was found dead in his Manhattan jail cell before he could be brought to trial. His death was officially ruled a suicide. You know, one of those auto-suicides. You don't even have to plan it, right? You don't even, it's all the work's done for you. All you got to do is be there. Huh? I didn't do it. Oh, yeah. That was hilarious when he said he didn't inhale. That was freaking hilarious. Clinton issued a statement in 2019 saying that he had never been to Little St. James Island, where some of Epstein's worst offenses are believed to have taken place, and that he knows nothing about Epstein's crimes. However, Giuffre alleged that she saw Clinton on the island multiple times, as did a member of Epstein's staff and one of Clinton's former aides. That's pretty certain he was there. Flight logs show Clinton traveling aboard Epstein's jet, a Boeing 727 dubbed the Lolita Express. Seems like I heard that. At least 26 times. 26 times. No, I've never been there. reportedly without a security detail on at least 5 jaunts. In his 2019 statement, Clinton admitted to taking 4 trips aboard the Lolita Express, but not to visiting the island. Guthrie's case against Maxwell ended in 2017 with an out-of-court settlement, as did a lawsuit she brought against Prince Andrew in 2021, claiming she had been trafficked to the prince by Epstein and Maxwell. The criminal case against Epstein ended with his apparent suicide, although Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in prison in 2022 for the enticement or excitement, whatever, of minors and sex trafficking of underage girls. Like I said, none of these folks, none of them are going to be dealt with. You just watch. And it blows my mind. Sip of coffee time. All right. I'm sure you well know that there was a earthquake in Japan. 7. I know it said higher when I got the emails, but then in what I read, it was saying 7. So what I read later. Here it says tsunami warning issued for or after powerful earthquake strikes Japan. Japan's western coast was hit by an earthquake followed by a tsunami on Monday. The authorities say that while the natural disaster affected several nuclear power plants to some extent, there have been no signs of any abnormalities so far. The initial quake measured 7, the maximum intensity specified by the Japan Meteorological Agency's Shindo seismic scale, which assesses the tremor's severity at the surface. Several aftershocks followed, with the agency issuing a tsunami warning for the coastal Ishikawa, Niigata, Toyama, and Yamagata prefectures. Speaking to reporters, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida appealed to people living in areas where tsunamis are expected, saying, "I would like to request that they evacuate as soon as possible." According to the national broadcaster NHK, waves in some areas may have reached a height of 5 meters. Government spokesman Hayashi Yoshimasa said during an emergency press conference that the authorities were evaluating the extent of the damage caused by the earthquake and warned people to be ready for further tremors. Meanwhile, multiple videos posted on social media show cracks in the roads, partly collapsed buildings, and a fire. Japan's Nuclear Regulation Authority reported in a post on X that the natural disaster has caused damage to Shiga Nuclear Power Plant in Shiga Town, Ishikawa Prefecture, and the Kashiwazaki Kariwa Nuclear Power Plant, holy cow, and Kashiwazaki City and Kariwa Village, Niigata Prefecture. Yeah, say that. Officials hastened to add, however, that no abnormalities have been detected, with the watchdog continuing to monitor all the nuclear power plants in the affected areas. While some of the facilities were not in operation at the time of the earthquake, the Kashiwazaki Kaiwa nuclear power plant was put back online last Wednesday for the first time since 2012. South Korea's meteorological agency has notified citizens that sea levels off its eastern coast could rise as well. Authorities in the Russian island region of Sakhalin have also issued a tsunami alert. So, crazy. And I did watch some of the videos, and that's like, wow. Kind of nuts. Coffee. Oh, man. I love pink strawberry. Or whatever the hell is pink starburst. Kind of like a pink strawberry. Good stuff. All right. Got all kinds of interesting stuff like this. Russia to ramp up attacks on Ukraine, says Putin. Ukraine's weekend attack on the Russian city of Belgorod, which has left dozens of civilians dead and injured, was an act of terrorism, Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Monday. Kiev will not be left unpunished when it engages such activities, he warned. The president insisted that Moscow will not retaliate in kind with indiscriminate attacks on civilians, but will focus instead on Ukraine's military sites. The president made the remarks on New Year's Day at a military hospital in Moscow, where he met Russian servicemen wounded during the ongoing military operation. One of the servicemen asked Putin about his take on the Ukrainian strike on Belgorod and Moscow's approach to the retaliation. The president squarely described it as a terrorist act which was carried out using indiscriminate weaponry. With these weapons, they struck right at the center of a city where people were going out on New Year's Eve. Just an attack, a targeted strike on the civilian population. Of course, this is a terrorist attack. There is no other way to describe it, Putin said. Ukraine's efforts at terror are aimed at destabilizing Russia and intimidating the country's population, he explained. Not going to work very well if it's just right there in the border towns, though. Russia will not retaliate in kind to Kiev's actions despite being capable of doing so, Putin stressed. Of course we can. We are capable of carpet bombing Kiev and any other Ukrainian city, the president noted. Instead, Russia will continue targeting Ukrainian military assets and infrastructure, Putin said, warning that the number of such strikes is bound to grow. The Ukrainian authorities' terrorist activities will not be left unanswered, he stressed. We are striking with high-precision weapons at the decision-making centers at locations where military personnel and mercenaries gather, at other nodes of this kind at military facilities first of all, and they are quite painful, these strikes. That's what we will continue to do, Putin stated. Belgorod, as well as other regions in southwestern Russia, have been subjected to repeated artillery, missile, and drone strikes by Ukrainian forces amid the ongoing conflict. The city was subjected to the deadliest attack to date on Saturday when it was struck with missiles fired by multiple rocket launchers. The munitions damaged a number of public venues and residential buildings. The attack, reportedly ordered personally by Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, claimed the lives of at least 24 civilians and left over 100 injured. So, I would expect that they're probably going to ramp up. But you know what that equates for us? We get to pay and send a bunch of crap over to them. And we're not the only country. Britain, apparently, its stockpiles are reduced to nothing, from what the Times says. It says Britain's weapons stockpiles have been nearly emptied out by nearly complete. Wow, am I just like making up words? Emptied out by almost 2 years of deliveries to Ukraine, the Times has reported. The British newspaper also claimed that the UK, together with Western European nations, is scrambling to ramp up arms production ahead of the 2024 presidential election in the US. Huh? Wait, what? While London has spent more than 4.6 billion pounds, or $5.7 billion, on arming Kiev since February 2022, NATO's Deputy Supreme Allied Commander for Europe, General Tim Radford, warned in July that the UK risks losing its status within the US-led bloc. The general cited personnel shortages among other issues. The Times quoted an anonymous Ukrainian military source as saying that Britain had nothing left in terms of weapons it could donate. The unnamed official added, however, that London was still playing a crucial role in persuading other nations to ship arms to Kiev. Hey man, why don't you ship a bunch of stuff to them? According to the newspaper, citing an unnamed staffer from Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's office, Britain and several other Western European countries are cranking through the gears to make sure Ukraine has enough military supplies to fall back on in case new U.S. administration decides to withhold or drastically diminish defense aid. Britain and other Western nations are allegedly seeking to extend the conflict into 2025 and possibly beyond, the source said, in the hope of stretching Russia's resources and forcing it to eventually relent. The Times also claimed that a growing number of Ukrainians are becoming wary of the conflict, with the idea of sealing a truce with Russia presumably gaining traction among the population. The sentiment is in part fueled by the political impasses in the U.S. and the EU, which have left a massive amount of aid for Kiev hanging in limbo, the paper reported, citing an anonymous Ukrainian military source. Similar report was published back in early October by The Telegraph, which at the time quoted an unnamed senior British military official as warning that the UK had given away just about as much as we can afford. Meanwhile, back in August, British MP Andrew Morrison, who serves as Parliamentary Undersecretary for State of Defence, People and Families, floated the idea of allowing the British military to recruit candidates with such conditions as autism, Asperger's, and ADHD. The lawmaker cited serious staffing shortages, adding that to tackle the problem, London may also want to extend the retirement age for military personnel. Yeah, so I don't know, what, 80? 80, right? This is insane what is going on. And apparently Ukraine's already putting disabled people on the lines. Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Well, we got Netanyahu piping up. A war in Gaza won't end in 2024, says Israel. Oh, it wasn't him. It was apparently Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, something like that. Says Israel will continue to wage war in Gaza throughout 2024. Israel Defense Forces spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said in a statement on Sunday, describing a strategic shift to what he called the smart management of IDF troops. Hagari revealed that 5 reservist brigades were being taken out of combat, supposedly to reinvigorate the Israeli economy as the country settles in for a prolonged conflict. The goals of the war require lengthy fighting, and we are prepared accordingly, he said, explaining that sending the reservists back home will result in considerable relief for the economy and will allow them to gain strength for operations next year, and the fighting will continue and we will need them. The IDF spokesman's prediction followed similar comments from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who warned during a press conference on Saturday that many more months of fighting still lay ahead. The government has categorically rejected international pleas for a ceasefire amid the mounting death toll in Gaza, where its AI-enhanced bombing campaign has resulted in over 21,800 Palestinian deaths since Hamas' October 7 surprise attack. According to the Enclave's health ministry, another 56,000 have been seriously wounded, and 85% of the Enclave's approximately 2.3 million residents have been displaced. The U.S. had consistently stood by Israel throughout the current stage of the conflict, including by vetoing UN Security Council resolutions demanding a ceasefire. However, even Washington has clashed with its Middle Eastern ally over Gaza's future. Netanyahu has said the territory will remain under Israeli control after the war, while the U.S. has called for it to be run by the Palestinian Authority as a step towards a two-state solution. The organization governs the West Bank and previously oversaw Gaza before Hamas took power following elections in 2007. So, and Netanyahu is trying to take 100% control. So, however, in some small ways, it seems, they are trying to hold him back at least somewhat. Hang on. Israel strikes down judicial overhaul. Hang on. Couple vapes and I'll read the article. We only got 2 more tabs and then got headlines, so I'm just kind of whipping through. I don't mind getting to bed a little earlier tonight. I'm actually a little bit hungry, so I'm probably going to warm me up some spaghetti and eat a little bit and then go to bed. But Blue can't have my bowl. Can't do it. Not allowed. Alright. Fun times. Israel's Supreme Court struck down Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's controversial judicial reform legislation on Monday, canceling a measure that had limited the court's power to challenge the government's actions. In an 8-7 vote, and that's pretty damn close, the court ruled that a legal amendment that had stripped it and all lower courts of the power to cancel any government decision or appointment deemed extremely unreasonable would deal a severe and unprecedented blow to the core characteristics of the State of Israel as a democratic state. The amendment to the reasonableness standard, one of Israel's foundational basic laws, was unanimously passed in Knesset amid some of the largest protests in Israel's history in July, as the opposition opted to boycott the vote. Over the summer, tens of thousands took to the streets every week to demonstrate against the reform and others proposed by Netanyahu, viewing the package as an attempted power grab by a leader already on trial for bribery and corruption. Prior to Hamas' October 7 attack and the ensuing war in Gaza, thousands of Israel Defense Forces reservists even threatened to refuse to report for duty over the controversial legislation. The attack eclipsed the disagreements over judicial reform, however, leading prominent opponents Yoav Gallant and Benny Gantz to mend fences with Netanyahu and join his war cabinet. Gallant has been temporarily dismissed as Minister of Defense in March over his public condemnation of the reform, while Gantz has led some of the protests against the measure. Operation leader Yair Lapid, who did not accept an invitation to join the wartime body, declared his support for the Supreme Court's decision in a post on X on Monday, stating it had faithfully fulfilled its role in protecting the citizens of Israel. Minister of Justice Yariv Levin, who authored the canceled legislation, condemned the court for displaying the opposite of the spirit of unity required these days for the success of our fighters on the front. Levin had previously lashed out at a court when its leaked draft of the ruling was published on Friday, arguing that Israelis expect the Supreme Court not to publish during a war a ruling that is controversial even among its judges. The ruling Likud party called the court's decision unfortunate, claiming it was against the will of the people for unity, especially during wartime. On Saturday, Netanyahu hinted that wartime could last well into 2024, telling reporters that many more months of fighting in Gaza were still to come. In a statement on Sunday, IDF spokesman Daniel Hagari suggested the war could last all year. And then I'm not going to read all the next article here. I think just a little bit of it will be enough. Thousands of migrants arrested in New Year's raids, says media. That's great, ain't it? That's great. I wonder, New York, who knows? Was it L.A.? Florida? Where was it? Oh, St. Petersburg, Russia. Oh, never mind. Wasn't here. I hope I didn't get anybody's, spirits up for that second. Wasn't here. Man. Crazy, crazy. do some headlines, warm me up some spaghetti, go do snuggle time. Alright. Okay, got a couple from last night that I put out. Eurozone economy faces bleak 2024, says Financial Times. Frozen fortune, where is Russia's $300 billion? I don't know, I ain't got it. I ain't got any of it. Putin was right about the economy in 2023, says ex-Austrian foreign minister. Russian diamond ban comes into force. Moscow slams Ukraine's terrorist brutes over New Year attack. Let's see. Baltic state becomes leading sparkling wine supplier to Russia, says media. Putin outlines objectives for Russia's BRICS presidency. Putin names Russia's real enemies. And Jeffrey Epstein wasn't among them. Russian economy is in a structural shift, says Putin. Russia scraps import duty on eggs. Russia vows to fight cancel culture as CIS chair. Zelensky is scum, says ex-Russian president. Hundreds arrested in French and German New Year anarchy. Well, Russia to ramp up. Oh, I covered that and that and that. Covered all those. Let's see. Explosion destroys museum honoring Nazi collaborator in Ukraine. First ex-Soviet state legalizes gay marriage. And we covered that. I didn't share out the last one, though. Wait. Yeah, the dude getting stabbed in the neck. Hey, I wonder... We got more stuff on that. I'll cover that real quick before I bolt. Let's see. South Korean opposition leader stabbed in the neck. Ow. The chief of South Korea's main opposition Democratic Party, Lee Jae-myung, was rushed to the hospital after an unidentified man stabbed him during a question and answer session with reporters on Tuesday morning. The incident took place at 10:27 a.m. when an unknown man approached Lee, and wasn't Bruce Lee, obviously, and stabbed him on the left side of his neck, the Yonhap news agency reported. The attacker was quickly subdued and arrested. Multiple videos of the incident shared on social media showed Lee surrounded by a crowd of reporters before the man suddenly rushed at him with a knife. And I bet he didn't even do, you know, I bet nothing. We're going to see. You're going to do nothing. And ow! He shibbed him right in the neck. You see that? You just, ugh. Wow. Sucks to be him. Several photos making rounds online showed the politician lying on the ground with his eyes closed, with people around him pressing a rag against his neck. Lee's condition was not immediately clear, according to Yonhap. Lee remained conscious, but the bleeding continued as he was transferred to a hospital some 20 minutes after the attack. So, apparently he is still alive. I don't know otherwise, but, wow. Kind of crazy. Alright, well, I reckon it's that time. I am going to get off of here, and God willing, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do it again. So, anyway, I appreciate everybody coming. I hope to see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit, and shalom.